And it's my pleasure to welcome Zishan Ashfaq from Pakistan, India's neighbor country, which is also a very interesting market for wind power. And okay, somehow I get muted from time to time. Personally, I visited Pakistan for the first time in early 2004, together, by the way, with Preben Megad, our founding president, who passed away just very recently. And we were on our way to China to prepare the first World Wind Energy Conference that we held in China together with our Chinese colleagues. And on the way there, we had several days in Pakistan. And from that time, we started working with our Pakistani colleagues. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Zishan, who used to work for WWEA for several years. He's doing some work still for WWEA, coordinating what we're doing there, but now he has moved to a company, a developer, the German company Sovitech. Zishan, you are now the managing director for Pakistan of Sovitech, and now it's my pleasure to welcome you, and you will share with us latest information about Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Stefan, for having me. As you have mentioned, I'm currently working for Sovitech in Pakistan, but I have a long association with the World Wind Energy Association, and I'm also currently advising the association in different activities, including the ones in Pakistan. So here I will be talking about the wind power market status in Pakistan, the market which is quite small compared to the other markets that have been presented before my presentation. So I will be talking about the power sector overview and the wind power installation status and the future trend and the outlook of wind power in Pakistan very briefly. So starting off with the power sector, the total installed capacity is roughly around 35,000 megawatts to 36,000 megawatts, and it's largely dominated by thermal power generation, which represents around 61% of the generation mix in Pakistan, which is followed by hydropower, which stands around 30%, and then comes nuclear power, renewables, and in the end, it is nuclear power. So renewables only represent around 6% of the total generation mix in Pakistan, which in my opinion is a quite poor state of affairs, if we look at the potential that we have in our country. So talking about wind resource availability, the theoretical potential stands at around 346 gigawatt. And, most of the resource rich area are either in south of the country or, towards Iran border, which is southern western part of the country. And the biggest wind corridor, which is located in Sindh, that alone holds a wind potential of around 60 gigawatt, and the economically viable potential stands at around 11 to 15,000 megawatts. And so far we have only tapped around 10% of that potential within the Jhimpir corridor only. And all the operational projects are either in Jhimpir or Garo, which is the same wind corridor. When we talk about the installed capacity, currently we have 1,237 megawatts of wind power projects installed in the country. The first renewable energy policy was announced back in 2006, and it took at least 7 years for the country to install its first wind power project back in 2013. And currently there are around 610 megawatts of projects that are under construction, and they are expected to become online either during the last quarter of 2021 or first quarter of 2022. And all these projects are being developed under cost plus regime. Looking at the price trends, when the market started taking shape, the first tariff that was announced back in 2011 was 14.66 US cents per kilowatt hour, and the projects that are under construction have a tariff of 4.1 US cents per kilowatt hour, and we see a reduction of around 70%, in terms of tariff reduction. If we compare the year 2011 to 2018, this trend is, in line with the global trends. In fact, when we talk about wind power, it has already outpaced and outperformed the global trends. In solar, we have seen such, dramatic reductions in, tariff, but for wind, it is quite, strange what has happened in Pakistan. And, the current projects that have been given tariff by the national regulator is 3.25 on average. But, these project developers have applied for review petition because they don't find projects economically feasible at this tariff with a 50 megawatt size project. Similar things have happened. If we talk about the technology costs, we have seen a reduction of around 60% in last 10 years, which is quite remarkable in this part of the world. Talking about the market share of different OEMs, GE is currently the market leader, which is followed by Goldwind, and then Nordex, and then Siemens Gamesa, Vestas, and Mingyang. They share 50 megawatt each. And when we talk about under construction wind power projects, Siemens Gamesa is leading at that front, followed by Goldwind and General Electric. So for the future power generation, from wind power, the government of Pakistan has already approved a renewable energy policy, which sets a target to achieve 20% share of renewables by 2025 and 30% by 2030 in the total generation mix of Pakistan. And the indicative generation capacity expansion plan, which basically provides the yearly capacity addition of different technologies, outlines around 8 gigawatt of wind and 12 gigawatt of solar to be installed by the year 2030, which is quite promising. Even if half of that target is achieved, we'll see a huge number of installations in Pakistan when we talk about wind and solar power. Currently, there are certain drivers that will basically expedite the growth of wind power in Pakistan. There are certain barriers as well there which are confining the growth. So starting off with barriers, first and the foremost one is the least cost option. As I've already mentioned, that the tariff that was given to around 4 or 5 wind developers a year ago is on average 3.5 US cents, which is the lowest tariff that has been given to any technology in Pakistan. So, that least cost option will push the installation of wind energy in the future. And then, the government has decided to reduce its dependency on imported fuels. Currently, the country imports around 15 to 16 billion of, US billion the total import bill for oil is around 15 to 14 billion US dollars, which the government wants to reduce, and renewables provide a very good alternative for that. Similarly, around 30 to 40% of the gas demand is also imported through RLNG, which has to be reduced as well. And the third driver is the availability of a very good resource, as I showed you the map that the southern and southern western part of the country hold very good wind potential, and we might see future wind installations in Balochistan where we find even better potential than the one than the Sindh province. And another driver is the replacement of inefficient thermal projects and also captive power projects. So these captive power projects are run on natural gas, but they are not that efficient, and the government wants to use that natural resource for other activities. And captive power projects using natural gas are around 3 to 4 gigawatt. So if the government replaces these projects or ask these projects to shut down, the only natural option would be to switch towards renewables. And in fact, the government has already stopped supplying natural gas to most of the captive power plants. And similarly, we will see around 2 to 3 gigawatt of thermal power generation retiring in the next 3-4 years. That is mainly owned by the government itself. Talking about the barriers that might slow down the growth of wind power in Pakistan, the first one is the surplus capacity, which the government believes that we are already in a kind of surplus capacity, which in my opinion is an absurd argument, and I don't really buy that, because currently around 27% of the population is not connected to the national grid, and the per capita consumption is just over 500 kilowatt hour per person per year, which is among the lowest in the world. So I don't see it as a barrier. In fact, the government needs to extend its grid and also enhance the utilization of electricity for different segments of the society. I believe the people of Pakistan deserve a better usage of electricity in the country. And then there is another barrier that may create a bottleneck for future renewable energy expansion. That is the coal pipeline. Around 6 gigawatt of coal power projects are in pipeline. The government has already retired around 3.5 gigawatt of coal power projects, but it has to basically stop developing further coal projects if it is serious to install wind and solar projects in the future. And another issue is of not so developed grid, because the projects that are already connected to the grid complain about forced shutdowns and continuous interruptions. So government must ensure a smooth grid development plan for a future integration of wind and solar. And then we have experienced some policy and regulatory delays which have caused project delays in the past, and we expect similar things happening in the future. And then there is an off-taker risk, because the financial health of Central Power Purchasing Agency, which is the sole power purchaser on government's behalf in Pakistan, is currently going through a difficult time because of the circular debt, and that might present a barrier in the future for renewable energy product induction as well. So that's it from my side. You know, uh, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sishan. That was very good to hear from you first-hand information about Pakistan. And of course, there are some downsides as well. But I think in general, it's good to see that Pakistan also has taken wind power as a serious option to generate, particularly at low cost. And the cost reduction in the feed-in tariff, I think, have been impressive indeed, the achievements there. Of course, we know that the situation is a bit similar like in India, the government planning to switch to auctions, which hopefully will not be as detrimental as there is a very now vibrant sector of medium-sized companies which have been investing in the Pakistan wind power sector, so that Pakistan can use this abundance of domestic cheap wind power for its development and for the benefits of its population.